Story 1. I've been patrolling Arizona highways for 17 years now, and I thought I'd seen everything. Drunk drivers flipping their cars at 90 miles per hour, drug smugglers with enough fentanyl to kill half of Phoenix, even a few standoffs that ended with handcuffs instead of body bags. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened on State Route 77 in October of 2019. It was a Thursday night, somewhere around 2:47 a.m. I remember the exact time because I had just cleared from a traffic stop near Oracle Junction and was updating my log when the call came through. Dispatch's voice crackled over my radio with that particular tone that makes the hair on your neck stand up. The one that says something's wrong, but they're trying to keep it professional. Unit 447, we have a 911 call reporting a disabled vehicle on northbound 77, mile marker 132. Caller states they saw what appeared to be a trooper vehicle with emergency lights activated. Can you check it out? Mile marker 132. That was deep in the desert between Oracle and Mammoth, where the road cuts through absolutely nothing but sand, creosote bushes, and darkness so thick it feels like you're driving through ink. Cell service was spotty out there at best, non-existent at worst. Copy that, dispatch. I'm about 15 minutes out. Do we have any other units in that area? There was a pause. Too long of a pause. Negative 447, you're the closest unit. Trooper Valdez was working that sector earlier, but he cleared end of watch at midnight. His vehicle is confirmed back at the station. Something about that information bothered me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. If there was a trooper vehicle out there, whose was it? We're not exactly a huge department, and we all know each other's schedules pretty well. Any description of the vehicle from the caller? Caller stated it appeared to be a standard patrol unit, light bar activated. They slowed down to see if assistance was needed, but the officer appeared to be conducting a traffic stop. Caller continued northbound but called it in because the stopped vehicle looked abandoned. Doors open, no one visible. Now that got my attention. Protocol dictates you never leave your patrol vehicle with the doors open during a stop unless you're actively engaged with the subject, and even then, driver's door only. All doors open. That's a distress signal or something gone very wrong. I hit my lights and pushed the Crown Vic up to 85. The desert highway stretched ahead like a black ribbon, my headlights barely making a dent in the darkness. Out here, there are no street lights, no houses, no gas stations. Just endless stretches of Sonoran desert that looks beautiful in the daylight and absolutely hostile at night. The radio had gone quiet. I tried calling dispatch twice to let them know my ETA, but got nothing back except static. Not unusual for this stretch, but it didn't help the growing knot in my stomach. Mile marker 128, 129, 130. My hands were gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. I'd been in pursuits, I'd pulled my weapon on suspects, I'd even been in one shooting incident early in my career. But there was something about this situation that felt fundamentally different. Wrong in a way I couldn't articulate. Mile marker 131. That's when I saw the lights. Red and blue, flashing in that familiar pattern, maybe half a mile ahead. I eased off the accelerator, my right hand instinctively moving to rest on my service weapon. As I got closer, I could make out more details. It was definitely a patrol unit, one of ours by the look of it. Same model Crown Victory, same light configuration, same paint scheme. It was positioned on the shoulder at an angle, like it had pulled someone over. Behind it, maybe 30 feet back, was a white sedan. Older model, possibly a Camry, hard to tell in the darkness. Both vehicles had their doors standing wide open, all of them. The white sedan's trunk was also open, which sent another chill down my spine. But there wasn't a single person visible anywhere. I pulled up behind the patrol unit, positioned my vehicle for safety, and hit my spotlight. The beam swept across both vehicles, and that's when I noticed something that made my breath catch. The patrol unit had no license plate. Every muscle in my body tensed. Department vehicles always have plates. How else would we be identified? I grabbed my radio mic. Dispatch, Unit 447. I'm on scene at mile marker 132. We have a situation here. The patrol unit on scene has no visible plate number. Requesting immediate backup and a supervisor. Static. Nothing but static. "Dispatch, do you copy?" More static, then a sound that might have been words, but too distorted to make out. My radio was usually crystal clear except in the deepest dead zones. This felt different. It felt like interference. I made a decision. I would approach the vehicles, but I was keeping my weapon drawn. Something was very, very wrong here. Stepping out of my vehicle, the desert cold hit me immediately. October nights in Arizona can drop 40 degrees from the daytime highs, and that night felt especially frigid. The only sounds were the idle of my engine and the ticking of the open vehicle's flashers. "Arizona State Police?" I called out, my voice echoing weirdly in the empty darkness. Nothing. Not even the scurry of a lizard or the distant howl of a coyote. Just absolute, oppressive silence. I moved toward the patrol unit first, weapon drawn, flashlight in my other hand. The driver's door was open, and I could see the interior clearly. Standard equipment: laptop mounted on the console, radio handset, shotgun in its rack. Everything looked normal, except for one detail that made my blood cold. There was a styrofoam coffee cup in the center console, still steaming. Someone had been in this vehicle within the last few minutes. I reached out and touched the hood. Warm. Not hot like it had been running for hours, but warm like it had been shut off recently. I cleared the patrol unit. No one inside, nothing unusual in the back seat. The trunk was closed. I popped it from the interior release.
Standard equipment: flares, first aid kit, traffic cones, evidence bags. Nothing missing, nothing added. There was something written in the dust on the inside of the trunk lid. Recent, by the look of it. 2 words in someone's finger: turn around. My hand was shaking as I closed the trunk. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to get back in my vehicle and get the hell out of there. But there was still the white sedan to check, and if someone was injured or in danger, I couldn't just leave. I approached the Camry with my flashlight sweeping back and forth. The front doors were open, the trunk was open, but I still couldn't see anyone. As I got closer, I noticed the interior was trashed. Fast food wrappers, old newspapers, a child's backpack in the back seat. The car had clearly been lived in, maybe by someone homeless or transient. But there was no one inside. I checked the trunk. Spare tire, some clothes and garbage bags, a sleeping bag, and then I saw it, tucked in the corner. A wallet. I picked it up with my gloved hand and opened it. The driver's license showed a woman, mid-40s, brown hair, tired eyes. Patricia Simmons. Address in Tucson. But what caught my attention was what else was in the wallet. A folded piece of paper, yellowed and worn, like it had been carried for years. I unfolded it carefully. It was a missing person flyer, dated 1987. A young girl, maybe 10 years old, dark curly hair, gap-toothed smile. The text read, "Missing, Jennifer Simmons. Last seen, June 3rd, 1987. Oracle, Arizona." The woman in the driver's license, this was her mother. Still looking, for more than 30 years. A sound behind me made me spin around, weapon raised. Nothing there. Just the desert and the darkness and the flashing lights, painting everything in alternating shades of red and blue. "Hello? This is the Arizona State Police. If you need help, identify yourself." Then I heard it. Faint at first, but growing louder. A voice, distant, coming from somewhere out in the desert darkness beyond the road. "Help! Please, help me!" It was a young voice, a girl's voice, and it was coming from the north, deeper, into the desert. I grabbed my radio again. "Dispatch, I have a possible person in distress requesting immediate backup at mile marker 132. This time, instead of static, I got a response. But it wasn't dispatch. Unit 447, the voice was wrong, flat, emotionless, like someone reading from a script with no inflection. Proceed north, into the desert. Subject, requires assistance. Who is this? Identify yourself. Proceed north, into the desert. Subject, requires assistance. I released the mic button, my heart hammering. That wasn't anyone from dispatch. That wasn't anyone from our department. Hell, that didn't even sound completely human. The girl's voice called out again. Please, I'm scared. I can't find my mom. Every particle of my training said, don't go into the desert alone at night chasing an unknown voice. But every particle of my humanity said, there might be a child out there who needs help. I made another decision, probably a stupid one. I started walking into the desert, following the voice, but staying close enough to see my vehicle. I wasn't going more than 50 yards. If I couldn't find her by then, I was coming back and waiting for backup, even if I had to drive 20 miles to get a radio signal. The desert floor crunched under my boots. Creosote bushes grabbed at my pants. The temperature felt like it was dropping by the minute. Keep talking, I called out. I'm a police officer. Keep making noise so I can find you. I'm here. I'm by the big rock. Please hurry. I swept my flashlight back and forth. There, maybe 40 yards ahead, a large boulder, probably 8 feet tall, rising out of the desert floor like a broken tooth. As I got closer, I could see something behind the rock, a shape, small, child-sized. I see you, I called out. Stay where you are. I'm coming to help. 20 yards, 15, 10. My flashlight beam hit the shape full on, and I stopped dead in my tracks. It wasn't a child. It was a mannequin. A department store mannequin, dressed in a child's clothes. Clothes that looked like they were from the 1980s. Jeans, a pink t-shirt with Tucson printed on it, white sneakers. The mannequin's head was turned towards me, its painted face smiling that eerie, frozen smile they all have. But someone had modified it. Someone had painted tears on its cheeks.
Long, black tears that ran down its plastic face. And attached to its chest was a recorder, the kind teachers use in classrooms, playing on a loop. Help! Please help me. I'm scared. I can't find my mom. I felt sick. This was a trap. This was bait. But for what? That's when I heard the sound behind me. The unmistakable crack crunch of footsteps on desert hardpack. Multiple footsteps. At least 3, maybe 4 people, moving fast. I spun around, weapon raised, flashlight sweeping. Nothing. The desert was empty. But the footsteps continued, growing louder, closer. Coming from every direction at once now. Surrounding me. Arizona State Police! Show yourself! Show yourself now! The footsteps stopped. Everything stopped. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then the lights went out. Not my flashlight. That was still working, still bright in my hand. The patrol vehicles, both of them, the flashing lights that had been painting the desert in emergency colors, just shut off. All at once. My vehicle, too. Every light did. The only illumination was my flashlight and the stars above. And that's when I saw them. Figures. Standing in a circle around me, just beyond my flashlight's reach. I couldn't make out details. They were too far into the darkness, but I could see their silhouettes. 7 of them.
maybe 8. Perfectly still, perfectly silent, just standing there, watching. I pointed my weapon at the nearest one. "Police, get on the ground, now!" None of them moved. Not a twitch, not a flinch, like they were statues. My radio crackled to life, and that same flat, wrong voice came through. "Run." I didn't need to be told twice. I turned and sprinted back toward the road, my flashlight bouncing wildly, illuminating crazy snapshots of creosote bushes and rocks and dirt. Behind me, I could hear them moving now, not running, but walking with purpose, their footsteps synchronized like soldiers marching. I reached my vehicle and yanked the door open. The engine was still running, thank God, but all the lights were still dead. I threw myself into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and jammed the accelerator to the floor. The Crown Vic fishtailed on the shoulder, then found purchase and launched forward. I didn't look back. I didn't check my mirrors. I just drove, pushing the speedometer past 90, past 100, racing north on 77 with only my headlights to guide me. 5 miles passed, then 10. The lights on my vehicle suddenly came back on, all of them at once, like someone had flipped a switch. My radio crackled with normal traffic. Dispatch came through crystal clear. "Unit 447, we've been trying to reach you for 15 minutes. What's your status?" My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the mic. "Dispatch, I'm northbound on 77, approaching Mammoth. I need you to send units back to mile marker 132. I don't know what we have, but send everyone." "Copy that, 447. Units are en route. Are you injured?" "No, but dispatch, when those units get there, tell them to stay together. Tell them not to go into the desert, no matter what they hear." By the time I got back to the station in Oracle, the sun was coming up. 3 other units had responded to mile marker 132, and they'd found exactly what I'd described: the patrol vehicle with no plates, the abandoned white sedan, the mannequin in the desert. But they also found something I hadn't mentioned, because I hadn't seen it. Around the mannequin in the dirt, someone had drawn a perfect circle, and inside that circle were 7 smaller circles, arranged like a flower's petals. In the center of each smaller circle was a date: June 3rd, 1987, April 17th, 1993, October 2nd, 2009, August 24th, 2004, December 11th, 2009, March 30th, 2015, and October 17th, 2019. That last date was the night I'd been there. The night I'd nearly become part of whatever this was. The patrol vehicle was never claimed. It wasn't from our department. In fact, after running the VIN, they discovered it had been reported stolen in 1987, the same year Jennifer Simmons went missing. It had been sitting in an impound lot in Phoenix for 3 years before someone broke in and took it. Patricia Simmons, the woman's wallet I'd found, was never located. Her car was impounded, and a search of her belongings revealed that she'd been following leads about her daughter's disappearance for over 30 years. The most recent entry in her journal, dated the day before I found her car, read, "Received anonymous call. Jennifer seen near Oracle. Going tonight. Finally going to bring my baby home."
7 dates, 7 circles. We cross-referenced them with missing persons reports. 7 people vanished on or near State Route 77 on those exact dates. All of them were family members of missing children. All of them had received anonymous tips about sightings near Oracle, and all of them disappeared while following up on those tips. Someone
or something was hunting people in that stretch of desert, using their own desperate hope as bait. I requested a transfer after that. Couldn't work that sector anymore. Every time I drove past mile marker 132 during the day, it looked completely normal. Just another stretch of desert highway. But I knew what was out there in the dark. About a month after the incident, I got a call from the impound lot. They'd finally processed Patricia Simmons's vehicle and found something wedged under the driver's seat. A cassette tape, the kind from the 80s. I shouldn't have, but I drove down there and asked to listen to it. The clerk put it in an old boombox they kept in the office. It was a recording of a phone call, a woman's voice, Patricia's, asking, "Who is this? How do you know where Jennifer is?" And then a response, that same flat, emotionless voice I'd heard on the radio that night. "Come to mile marker 132 on State Route 77. Come alone. Come at night. Your daughter is waiting." The tape ended. I stood there in that impound office, feeling cold despite the Arizona heat. "You okay, officer?" the clerk asked. I wasn't. I'm still not. Because 3 weeks ago, I got a call on my personal phone. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Static at first. Then underneath the static, that voice. "Unit 447. Return to mile marker 132. Subject requires assistance." I hung up. Blocked the number, but the calls keep coming. Different numbers, but the same voice. Always at 2:47 a.m. Always the same message. I haven't gone back. I won't go back. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder about those 7 people. I wonder if they're still out there, standing in a circle in the dark waiting for the next one. And I wonder when my date will be added to that circle. I've put in my retirement papers. 17 years on the force, and I'm walking away. Some of the guys think I'm crazy, that I'm letting one weird night end my career. They didn't see what I saw. They didn't hear that voice. Last week, a rookie trooper asked me why I was leaving. I wanted to tell him the truth, but how do you explain something like that? How do you tell someone that there are things out there in the desert that we're not equipped to handle? That some roads are hunting grounds and some lights in the darkness aren't there to help? Instead, I just told him to be careful on State Route 77. Stay on the road. Don't follow voices into the desert. And if he ever finds a patrol vehicle with no plates at mile marker 132, he should turn around and drive until he finds a signal. Then call everyone he can and never go back alone. He laughed, thought I was hazing him. I didn't push it. He'll learn, or he won't. But I'm done. After my last shift next Friday, I'm moving to Colorado. Mountains and snow and trees. As far from the Arizona desert as I can get. Though sometimes, in the middle of the night, I still hear that voice on my phone. And I'm terrified that distance won't matter. That whatever is out there at mile marker 132 doesn't care about state lines or retirement papers. That it's already marked me as number 8.
Story 2. I never believed in ghosts. Not before, not during my 12 years on the force, and honestly, I'm still not sure I do now. But I believe in something. Something that happened on Interstate 10 between Benson and Wilcox that I can't explain, can't rationalize, and sure as hell can't forget. It was late February 2021. The pandemic was still making everything weird. Fewer cars on the roads, people staying home, this strange emptiness to everything. I was working the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., covering the stretch of I-10 that cuts through some of the most desolate parts of southeastern Arizona. If you've never driven that section of highway, let me paint you a picture. It's flat, brown, and goes on forever. During the day, you can see the Dragoon Mountains to the north and the Chiricahuas to the east. But at night? At night, it's just darkness pressing in from all sides, broken only by your headlights and the occasional semi-truck barreling past. The call came in around 1:23 a.m. I remember because I'd just finished eating a protein bar and was logging it in my meal break report. Yeah, we have to document everything, even snacks. Unit 519, we have a report of a possible DUI, westbound I-10 near mile marker 318. Silver sedan weaving between lanes. Caller states vehicle nearly struck them twice. Copy that, dispatch. I'm at marker 331, heading that direction now. I flipped on my lights and accelerated. Mile marker 318 was just past the exit for Dragoon Road, an area with literally nothing around it except desert and darkness. No towns, no rest stops, no gas stations for miles in either direction. As I drove, I kept my eyes peeled for the silver sedan. DUIs are dangerous anytime, but out here on I-10, with people doing 80+ miles per hour, they're deadly. I've worked too many fatal accidents where alcohol was involved, scraped too many families off the pavement. Mile marker 325, 322, 320. That's when I spotted it. Silver Honda Accord, maybe a 2010 or 2011, weaving gently between lanes, like the driver was falling asleep at the wheel. No aggressive swerving, just that lazy drift that tells you someone's either drunk, exhausted, or having a medical emergency. I pulled up behind it and hit my lights and siren. The car's brake lights flashed immediately. That was a good sign. Drunk drivers usually either floor it or take forever to realize they're being pulled over. This one responded right away, putting on their turn signal and pulling onto the shoulder smoothly. Maybe not a DUI after all, I thought. Maybe just tired. I called it in. Dispatch, Unit 519. I've got the silver sedan stopped at mile marker 318. Running the plate now. I aimed my spotlight at the license plate and read off the numbers. While dispatch ran it, I observed the vehicle. Arizona plates, registration sticker looked current, no damage to the vehicle, no suspicious movements inside. The driver appeared to be alone, sitting perfectly still with both hands on the wheel, exactly what we teach people to do. Unit 519, plate comes back to a 2011 Honda Accord, registered to Martin Voss, address in Tucson. No wants or warrants on the vehicle or registered owner. Copy that. I'm making contact now. I stepped out of my vehicle, one hand resting on my service weapon out of habit, and approached the driver's side. The window was already rolling out as I got there. Another good sign. Cooperative drivers usually mean easier interactions. Good evening, sir. I'm Trooper Torres with the Arizona Department of Public Safety. Do you know why I pulled you over? The driver was a man in his late 60s, maybe early 70s. White hair, neatly trimmed. He was wearing a cardigan over a button-up shirt, dressed a bit formally for the middle of the night. His eyes were watery, and his face was pale, but he didn't smell like alcohol. Was I speeding, officer? His voice was quiet, almost whisper-soft. No, sir. You received a report that your vehicle was weaving between lanes. Have you been drinking tonight? No, ma'am. Not a drop. He looked genuinely confused. I didn't realize I was weaving. I'm sorry. I studied his eyes.
The pupils looked normal, equal size, responding to my flashlight. No bloodshot appearance, no slurred speech, but something was off about him. He looked distant, like he was there physically, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. "Sir, are you feeling all right? Are you on any medications? Having any medical issues?" He shook his head slowly. "I'm just tired."
It's been a very long night. Where are you coming from, Mr. Voss? He hesitated, his eyes unfocusing for a moment. Douglas, I was visiting someone. Douglas was about 80 miles southeast of here, right on the Mexican border. Long drive for an elderly man in the middle of the night. And where are you headed? Home, Tucson. That checked out with his registration. Tucson was about another hour west. Mr. Voss, I'm going to ask you to step out of the vehicle. I'd like to perform a field sobriety test, just to make sure you're okay to continue driving. He nodded and opened his door. That's when I noticed something that made my skin prickle. The interior of his car was freezing cold. I could see his breath forming clouds in the dome right, and I could feel cold air rolling out of the vehicle like he'd been driving with the AC on full blast in February. "Sir, is your heater working?" He looked at me with those watery eyes. "I don't feel cold." That was concerning. Not feeling cold when you should is a sign of hypothermia or shock. I helped him out of the vehicle. He moved slowly but steadily and guided him to a flat area on the shoulder. "I am going to have you perform a few tests, okay? First, I want you to follow my finger with just your eyes. Don't move your head." I performed the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, watching his eyes track my finger left and right. No jerking, no inability to follow. His balance seemed fine, his coordination normal. By all measures, he wasn't impaired by alcohol or drugs, but he still looked wrong, pale, distant, and so cold. "Mr. Voss, I'm gonna be straight with you. I don't think you've been drinking, but I'm concerned about your condition. You're very pale, your car is freezing cold, and you seem disoriented. I think we should get you checked out by EMS." "No." His response was immediate and sharp, the first real emotion I had heard from him. "No hospitals, no ambulances. I just need to get home." "Sir, I understand, but—" "He need to get home to my wife." His voice cracked. "She's waiting for me. I promised her I'd be home tonight. I promised." There was such desperation in his voice that I paused. He wasn't angry or combative, just desperate, grief-stricken almost. "Okay," I said gently. "Okay, I understand. But I can't let you drive if I don't think you're safe. How about this? Let me call someone to come pick you up. A family member. A friend." He shook his head. "There's no one. It's just us. Just me and Eleanor." Eleanor, his wife, the one waiting for him in Tucson. I made a decision. "All right, Mr. Voss, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to follow you for the next 20 miles or so, just to make sure you're driving safely. If I see any more weaving, we're stopping again, and I'm calling EMS, whether you like it or not. Deal?" He nodded, relief washing over his face. "Thank you, officer. Thank you so much." I walked him back to his car and watched as he got settled in the driver's seat. Before he closed the door, I asked, "Who were you visiting in Douglas?" He looked up at me, and for just a moment, his eyes were completely clear, lucid, and infinitely sad. I was visiting my daughter. I was saying goodbye. Something about the way he said it made my chest tight, but before I could ask anything else, he'd closed the door and started the engine. I returned to my patrol unit and radioed dispatch. "Unit 519, I'm following the Honda Accord westbound on I-10. Driver appears fatigued but not impaired. I'll escort him for approximately 20 miles to make sure he's safe to continue." Copy that, 519. The Honda pulled back onto the interstate and I followed at a safe distance. My lights were still on, but no siren. He was driving better now, staying in the right lane, maintaining a steady 65 miles per hour. Maybe he just needed a wake-up call, that moment of being pulled over to snap him back to alertness. We passed mile marker 315, 310, 305. His driving remained steady. Good. Another 15 miles and I'd let him continue on his own. Maybe call ahead to the next sector and have them keep an eye out for him. Mile marker 302. That's when I noticed something strange. There was another vehicle on the shoulder ahead, maybe a quarter mile up, hazard lights flashing.
As we got closer, I could make out more details. It was a silver Honda Accord. Same model, same year, same everything. My stomach dropped. I glanced at the Honda I was following, still in the right lane, still moving steadily forward. But there was another identical Honda ahead on the shoulder. I radioed dispatch, trying to keep my voice steady. Dispatch, Unit 519. I have a disabled vehicle on the shoulder westbound I-10 at mile marker 302. It appears to be the same make and model as the vehicle I'm escorting. Copy, 519. Do you need assistance? Stand by. As we approached the disabled vehicle, the Honda I was following began to slow down. Mr. Voss put on his turn signal and started pulling over, parking right behind the disabled vehicle. What the hell was going on? I pulled up behind him, leaving my lights on, and got out of my vehicle. Mr. Voss was already out of his car, walking toward the disabled Honda. I jogged to catch up to him. Mr. Voss, sir, wait! He didn't stop. He walked right up to the driver's side door of the disabled vehicle and looked in the window. Then he turned to me, and the expression on his face was something I'll never forget. Pure, absolute anguish. "That's my car," he said. I looked at him, then at the disabled vehicle, then back at the Honda he'd just been driving. "Sir, you're not making sense. You were just driving your car. That can't be. That's my car," he repeated. That's where it happened." A chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with the February cold. I approached the disabled vehicle with my flashlight, Mr. Voss following close behind. The Honda on the shoulder was identical to the one Mr. Voss had been driving. Same silver color, same year, same model. But this one was damaged. The front end was crunkled, the hood buckled. The windshield was shattered, spiderwebbed with cracks radiating out from a point on the driver's side. And there was something dark on the windshield, something that looked like dried blood. I checked the license plate with my flashlight. Same numbers, exact same plate as the car Mr. Voss had been driving. "Dispatch," I said into my radio, my voice not quite steady. "Unit 519, I need you to run a plate again for me." I read off the numbers, even though I knew what the response would be. "Unit 519, that plate comes back to a 2011 Honda Accord, registered to Martin Voss, same vehicle you stopped earlier." I lowered the radio and looked at Mr. Voss. He was standing there in the darkness, tears streaming down his face, looking at the wrecked Honda like he was seeing his own grave. "Mr. Voss, I need you to explain to me what's happening right now." He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "I was driving home from Douglas. It was late, around 1 in the morning. I just visited my daughter. She lives down there with her family. My wife Eleanor had stayed home. She hasn't been feeling well lately." "Okay," I said slowly. "I was tired. So tired. The drive from Douglas, it's long. And I'm not as young as I used to be. I should have stopped. I should have pulled over and rested. But I wanted to get home. Eleanor worries when I'm late." He walked closer to the wrecked Honda, placing his hand on the crumpled hood. "I don't remember falling asleep. One moment, I was driving, and the next, I just remember the sound. The terrible sound of metal and glass, and then nothing. Just nothing. Mr. Voss, I woke up in my car, no damage, engine running, and I thought, thank God. I must have just dozed off for a second, jerked awake before anything happened. So I kept driving. I had to get home. Eleanor was waiting. I felt like the ground was tilting under my feet. Mr. Voss, when did this happen? When did you fall asleep? He met my eyes, and in that moment, I knew what he was going to say before he said it. 3 months ago, November 19th, 2020. My hand went to my service weapon, not to draw it, but just to touch something solid, something real. That's not possible.
I just pulled you over 20 minutes ago. You were driving. I followed you. I know, he said quietly. I've been driving home for 3 months now. Every night I wake up in my car at mile marker 335 and I drive west. I'm trying to get home. I have to get home. Eleanor is waiting for me. This isn't real, I said, more to myself than to him. This isn't happening. I know how it sounds, officer. Believe me, I know. But every night I drive, and every night I end up here, at mile marker 302, where He couldn't finish the sentence. I grabbed my radio with a shaking hand. Dispatch, I need you to check for any accidents reported on I-10 near mile marker 302, date of November 19th, 2020, silver 2011 Honda Accord. There was a long pause. I could hear typing in the background. Unit 519, we show a fatal single-vehicle accident at mile marker 302 on November 19th, 2020. Silver 2011 Honda Accord. Driver fell asleep at the wheel and struck a bridge support. Driver pronounced dead at the scene. Name of deceased was Martin Voss, age 68, resident of Tucson. The radio fell from my hand. I looked at Mr. Voss, at the ghost of Mr. Voss, standing there in the darkness. He looked so solid, so real. I'd touched him during the field sobriety test. He'd been warm. He'd spoken to me. He'd cried real tears. Eleanor, he said softly. I promised her I'd come home that night. I promised, but I never made it. And she's still waiting. I can feel her waiting. Mr. Voss, I managed to say, you can't keep doing this. You're not alive. You're dead. I know. I figured it out after the first few nights, when I'd arrive at this spot and find my car wrecked, and then wake up again at mile marker 335 to start over. At first, I thought I was in hell, but then I realized I'm just trying to keep a promise. That's all. Just trying to get home to my wife. Where is Eleanor now? I asked, though part of me didn't want to know the answer. Home, in Tucson. At least, that's where she was. I don't know what she knows, what she's been told. I just know I promised her I'd be home that night. And I've never broken a promise to Eleanor in 46 years of marriage. I don't want to start now. I picked up my radio from the ground. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. Dispatch, can you tell me if Eleanor Voss is still at the registered address? Is she alive? Another pause. More typing. Unit 519. According to our records, Eleanor Voss passed away on January 14th, 2021. Address is listed as vacant. Mr. Voss made a sound, not quite a sob, not quite a gasp, just a sound of absolute heartbreak. She waited. She waited for almost 2 months, and I never came home. I didn't know what to do. They don't train you for this at the academy. They teach you traffic stops, defensive tactics, de-escalation techniques,
But nobody teaches you what to do when you pull over a ghost who's been trying to get home for 3 months. Mr. Voss, I said gently, Eleanor isn't waiting anymore. She's not at home. She's with me, he said. She should be with me. That's where she belongs. Not alone in some house, waiting for a husband who's never coming home. He turned away from the wrecked Honda and walked back towards the car he'd been driving. The ghost car, I guess you'd call it. The car that shouldn't exist. What happens now? I asked. He paused with his hand on the door handle. Same thing that happens. Every night, I'll keep driving west, trying to get home. I'll make it another few miles, maybe to the Benson exit, maybe all the way to Vale. And then I'll wake up at mile marker 335 and start over. I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to let go. Maybe you're not supposed to go home. Maybe you're supposed to go forward. He looked at me, confused in those watery eyes. Eleanor isn't behind you, waiting in Tucson. She's ahead of you.
Maybe you need to stop trying to go back and start trying to move forward. For a long moment, he just stood there. Then, slowly, he nodded. Forward, he said softly. Forward to wherever Eleanor is. He got into the ghost Honda and started the engine. But instead of pulling back onto the interstate, heading west toward Tucson, he put the car in drive and headed east, back the way he'd come, toward Douglas, toward the sunrise that was still hours away, toward something I couldn't see, but maybe he could. I watched his taillights disappear into the darkness, and then, between one blink and the next, the wrecked Honda on the shoulder vanished, just gone, like it had never been there. I stood there on the shoulder of I-10 for a long time, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, I got back in my patrol vehicle and radioed dispatch. Unit 519, the disabled vehicle is gone. Continuing patrol. Copy that, 519. I never mentioned what really happened. How do you write that report? Pulled over a ghost, counseled him on moving forward with his afterlife, watched him drive off into the eternal unknown? They'd have me in counseling or fired, or both. But I drive that stretch of I-10 several times a week, and I've never seen the silver Honda Accord again. Not at mile marker 318, where I first pulled him over. Not at mile marker 302, where he crashed. Nowhere. I did some research, though. Found Martin Voss's obituary online. It mentioned that he was preceded in death by his wife, Eleanor, who passed away of a broken heart less than 2 months after his accident. They were buried together in Tucson. About a week after my encounter with Mr. Voss, I drove to the cemetery during my day off. Found their graves side by side, matching headstones, simple, elegant. Between them, someone had planted a small rose bush that was just starting to bloom despite it being February. I don't know who planted it. The cemetery records showed no recent activity on those plots, but the roses were real, pink and perfect, and they smelled like hope. I like to think Mr. Voss found his way forward, that he stopped trying to drive back to a home that didn't exist anymore, and instead found his way to wherever Eleanor was waiting for him, not behind, but ahead. Still, sometimes on my night shifts, when I'm driving that stretch of I-10 and the darkness presses in from all sides, I'll see headlights in my rear view. Silver sedan, maintaining a steady 65 miles per hour, always about a quarter mile back. I'll watch it in my mirror and my heart will start to race, and I'll wonder if it's him, if he's still out there, still trying to get home, still keeping a promise that can't be kept. But then I'll blink and the headlights will be gone, or they'll belong to a different car entirely, a red SUV or a white pickup. or a family in a minivan heading to some late-night destination. And I'll tell myself I imagined it, that I'm seeing things because I work too many night shifts, because the darkness plays tricks on your mind, because what happened that February night was a hallucination or a stress-induced episode, or anything except what it actually was. But deep down, I know the truth. I pulled over a dead man on Interstate 10. I talked to him, tested him for sobriety, watched him cry over a promise he couldn't keep. And then I watched him drive off into the darkness, searching for a way forward to a wife he loved for 46 years. Some of my fellow troopers talk about weird things they've seen on night shifts, unexplained lights in the desert, strange sounds over the radio, people who vanish when you turn your back. We usually laugh it off, chalk it up to fatigue or overactive imaginations. But now I wonder how many of those stories are real. How many ghosts are out there on Arizona's highways replaying their last moments, trying to get home, trying to keep promises, trying to finish journeys that ended too soon. I don't talk about Martin Voss. I don't tell his story to the other troopers. They'd think I was crazy. And maybe I am. Maybe I fell asleep at my own wheel that night and dreamed the whole thing. But I still have the recording from my dash cam. I've watched it 100 times, and every time it shows the same thing. Me pulling over a silver Honda Accord. Me approaching the driver. Me talking to someone who, according to official records, had been dead for 3 months. The audio is corrupted in places, strange static, weird distortions, but you can hear his voice clearly in parts.
You can hear him say, "I promised her I'd come home." You can hear him say, "Eleanor is waiting for me." And at the very end, just before the recording cuts off, you can hear him say something I don't remember hearing that night. Something that only showed up when I played back the audio. "Thank you, officer. Tell Eleanor I'm on my way. Tell her I'm finally coming home." I've never tried to tell Eleanor. She's been dead for almost 4 years now. But sometimes, on my days off, I'll drive to that cemetery and sit by their graves for a while. I'll look at those mysterious roses that keep blooming year-round, impossible as that is, and I'll think about promises and love and the things that keep us tethered to this world, even after we're gone. And I'll whisper to the headstones, "He's on his way, Mrs. Voss. He's finally on his way home." Last month, something strange happened. I was patrolling I-10 around 1:30 a.m., almost the exact time I pulled over Mr. Voss, when I saw a silver Honda Accord on the shoulder near mile marker 302. My heart nearly stopped. I called it in and approached cautiously, hand on my weapon. But when I got to the car, it was just a stranded motorist. A college kid heading back to Tucson after visiting his girlfriend in New Mexico. Dead battery, phone almost out of charge. Nothing supernatural, nothing strange. I gave him a jump start and then sent him on his way. But as I was getting back in my patrol vehicle, I noticed something on my windshield. A single pink rose petal, exactly the same color as the roses growing between the Voss graves. There was no wind that night. No roses growing anywhere nearby. No explanation for how that petal got there. I kept it. I pressed it in a book, like people used to do with flowers. I don't know why. Maybe as proof that something happened. Maybe as a reminder that there's more to this world than what we can see and measure and explain. Or maybe because it makes me feel less alone on those long night shifts when the darkness stretches on forever, and the highway feels less like a road but more like a river between worlds. I've got 8 more years until retirement. 8 more night shifts and traffic stops, and the endless stretch of I-10. I don't know if I'll encounter anything like Martin Voss again. Part of me hopes I don't. Part of me hopes I do. Because as terrifying as it was, as much as it challenged everything I thought I knew about life and death and what comes after, it was also strangely beautiful. A man who loved his wife so much that death couldn't stop him from trying to get home to her. A promise so strong that it echoed for months, creating ghost cars on ghost highways, replaying a journey that ended in tragedy but was motivated by love. If I'm lucky, when my time comes, I'll have someone waiting for me like Eleanor waited for Martin. I'll have a promise worth keeping, a love worth driving through death for. Until then, I'll keep patrolling this stretch of Arizona highway. I'll pull over drunk drivers and speeders and people with broken taillights. I'll work my traffic accidents and write my reports and follow my protocols. And on the quiet nights, when there's nothing but me and the darkness and the endless ribbon of I-10 stretching toward tomorrow, I'll keep watch for a silver Honda Accord, just in case Mr. Voss hasn't found his way home yet, just in case he's still out there, driving east toward sunrise, searching for his Eleanor. And if I see him again, I won't stop him. I'll just follow at a safe distance, lights off, making sure he gets where he's going, making sure he finally completes the journey home. That's what we do, after all. State troopers. We protect and serve, even when protecting means letting go, and serving means helping souls find their way forward, even if those souls are already dead.
Story 3. You know what? Being an Arizona State Trooper is actually pretty great most of the time. I know everyone expects these jobs to be all doom and gloom, and sure, we see our share of bad days, but honestly, I love this job. I love the open roads, the stunning sunrises over the desert, helping stranded families get back on their way, even the occasional friendly wave from truckers who appreciate us keeping the highway safe. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and I've got stories that'll make you laugh, stories that'll make you shake your head, and plenty of stories about the genuine goodness of people. Like the time I helped a family from Wisconsin change their tire, and the dad insisted on giving me a homemade cheese wheel as thanks. Or when I pulled over a speeding grandma who was rushing to the hospital because her first great-grandchild was being born, and I ended up giving her an escort with lights and sirens. Made it in time, too. They named the baby Daniel. Still get Christmas cards. See? Good stuff happens out here all the time. But then there was August 17th, 2022. And what happened on Route 60 between Globe and Show Low? That's a story of a different kind. Started good, ended, well, you'll see. It was a Wednesday afternoon around 4:30 p.m. Still plenty of daylight. Temperature was a pleasant 87 degrees, practically cool for August in Arizona. I'd just finished my lunch break at a little diner in Globe, had the best green chili cheeseburger I'd eaten in months, and was heading north on Route 60 feeling pretty good about life. Route 60 through that section is gorgeous. It climbs up through the Salt River Canyon, winding through pine forests and past rock formations that look like they were painted by hand. During the day, with the sun filtering through the trees and the smell of pine in the air, it's honestly one of the most beautiful drives in the state. I was cruising along, windows down, listening to some classic rock on the radio, just enjoying the afternoon. That's when I saw the family on the shoulder. Minivan with Michigan plates. Hood up. Mom and Dad standing next to it, looking at the engine like it might explain itself if they stared long enough. 2 kids, maybe 8 and 10, were playing with a frisbee in the clearing nearby.
The whole scene was very wholesome, very family road trip gone slightly wrong. I pulled up behind them and got out with a smile. "Afternoon, folks. Having some car trouble?" The dad turned around and the relief on his face was immediate. He was maybe 40, wearing cargo shorts and a University of Michigan t-shirt, already sunburned across his nose. "Oh man, officer, are we glad to see you. We were just trying to figure out if we had cell service up here." "Spotty at best in this area," I said, walking over to look at the engine. "What's going on with your vehicle?" "It just started losing power about a mile back," the mom chimed in. She was holding the water bottle and looked hot, but not panicked. "We managed to get it pulled over, but now it won't start at all. Just clicks when we turn the key." I took a look under the hood. I'm no mechanic, but you pick up a few things after 9 years of helping stranded motorists. The battery connections looked corroded, and when I wiggled them, they moved way too easily. "Well, good news is I think it's just your battery connections. They're loose and corroded. Bad news is you're going to need some tools and cleaning supplies to fix it properly." "Where are you folks headed?" "Sholo. We rented a cabin for the week. This was supposed to be our big Arizona adventure." He laughed, but there was an edge of stress to it. "Some adventure, huh?" "Hey, this is part of it," I said cheerfully. "You can't have a proper road trip without at least one breakdown story. My family still talks about the time our station wagon died in the Mojave when I was 12. Best memory of that trip." Kids had stopped playing frisbee and wandered over. The older one, a girl with her hair in braids, looked up at me with wide eyes. "Are you a real police officer?" "Sure am. My name's Officer Crane. What's yours?" "Emma. That's my brother Josh. Are you going to arrest our car?" I laughed. "No, ma'am. Your car didn't do anything wrong. It's just tired. Sometimes cars get tired just like people do." "Can you fix it?" asked Josh. "I'm going to try. But first, let me make a phone call." I radioed to dispatch and arranged for a tow truck to come up from Globe. About a 40-minute wait. Then I grabbed my emergency kit from the trunk. I keep all sorts of useful things in there. Jumper cables, basic tools, duct tape, zip ties, and yes, a battery terminal cleaning brush and some anti-corrosion spray. "All right, Mr.
Patterson. Dave Patterson. This is my wife, Linda." "All right, Mr. Patterson, let's see if we can get you folks back on the road. Worst case, the tow truck will be here in 40 minutes and can take you to a garage in Sholo." I spent the next 20 minutes cleaning the battery terminals and tightening the connections. The kids peppered me with questions the whole time. "What's the fastest you've ever driven? Have you ever been in a car chase? Do you have a police dog? Have you ever arrested anyone famous?" I answered them all patiently, enjoying their enthusiasm. This is the part of the job people don't see. Not every interaction is tense or dangerous. Sometimes you're just helping a nice family from Michigan get their vacation back on track. "Okay, Mr. Patterson, try starting it now." He turned the key and the engine turned over immediately, purring to life like it had never had a problem. The whole family cheered. "Officer Crane, you're a miracle worker," Linda said. "Just did a little cleaning, ma'am. But I'd recommend you stop at an auto parts store in Sholo and get a new battery. This one's on its way out." "We will, absolutely. Thank you so much." Dave shook my hand vigorously. "How much do we owe you?" "Not a thing. Just doing my job. You folks drive safe now and enjoy your cabin." Emma ran up and hugged my leg. "Thank you for saving our vacation." I couldn't help but grin. "You're very welcome, Emma. Have fun in Sholo." I watched them pile back into the minivan, waving as they pulled back onto Route 60 and disappeared around a curve heading north. I called dispatch to cancel the tow truck, packed up my tools, and was about to get back in my vehicle when I noticed something on the ground where their minivan had been parked. A phone. Android, in a blue case, lying face down in the dirt. "Damn," I muttered. "One of them must have set it down and forgotten it." I picked it up and tried to turn it on. The screen lit up with a photo of the Patterson family at what looked like the Grand Canyon. No password lock, thank goodness. I scrolled through the contacts looking for Dave or Linda or Mom or anything that might help me reach them. That's when I noticed something odd.
The most recent calls in the log were all to the same number labeled Show Low Cabin Rental. The last call had been made at 4:47 p.m., just 15 minutes ago, while they were broken down. But that was impossible. Linda had been standing with the kids the whole time, and Dave had been with me at the engine. Neither of them had made a phone call. I checked the recent texts. Nothing unusual. Family group chat, messages to friends back in Michigan, reservation confirmations, all normal. Then I opened the Photos app. The most recent photos were today. Pictures of the Salt River Canyon from earlier in their drive, a selfie of the family in front of the Welcome to Arizona sign, the kids making faces in the back seat. And then, at 4:52 p.m., just 8 minutes ago, while I was cleaning their battery terminals, a photo that made my blood run cold. It was a picture of me, taken from behind while I was bent over their engine. The angle suggested it had been taken from inside the tree line, maybe 30 feet back into the forest. My hand was already moving to my service weapon when I heard it. A child's laughter, high-pitched, delighted, coming from the forest where their kids had been playing with the frisbee. But the kids were gone. They'd left with their parents. I'd watched them drive away. "Hello," I called out, my other hand going to my flashlight, even though it was still daylight. "This is the Arizona State Police. Is someone there?" The laughter came again, closer now. Definitely a child. Definitely not natural. There was something off about it. Too perfect. Too musical, like it was being played from a recording. I drew my weapon. "Show yourself!"
Now. Movement in the trees. Just a flash of something small and quick, darting between the pines. Then another flash on my left. Then behind me. Multiple contacts. At least 3 moving fast, staying just out of clear sight. My training kicked in. I moved back to my patrol vehicle, keeping it at my back, weapon raised, scanning the tree line. "This is your final warning. Show yourself immediately." The laughter stopped. The forest went completely silent. No birds, no wind, no insects. Just dead, oppressive silence. Then a voice. A child's voice. But wrong. Too deep. Too resonant. "Officer Crane." It came from directly in front of me, maybe 20 feet into the trees. I could see a shape now. Small, child-sized, standing perfectly still behind a large pine. "Step out where I can see you. Hands where I can see them." "You helped them, Officer Crane. You were kind. You made the children laugh. That was nice." The shape stepped out from behind the tree. It looked like a child, maybe 10 years old, wearing clothes that seemed old-fashioned, like something from the 1950s. A boy with pale skin and dark eyes that seemed too large for his face. But he wasn't right. His proportions were slightly off, his movements too fluid, too graceful. And his shadow was wrong. It stretched behind him in a direction that didn't match the angle of the sun. "Who are you?" I demanded, keeping my weapon trained on him. "Where are your parents?" "We don't have parents anymore, Officer Crane. We live here now, in the forest. We've lived here for a very long time." 2 more children stepped out of the trees. A girl on my left, a younger boy on my right. Same pale skin, same 2 large eyes, same wrong shadows. Who are you? How do you know my name? We know lots of things. We know you like green chili cheeseburgers. We know you helped a family today. We know you're afraid right now, even though you're trying not to show it. I'm not afraid, I said, which was a lie. I was terrified. I'm confused. What do you want? We want to play, the girl said. Her voice had that same wrong resonance. We don't get to play very often. People don't stop here anymore. Not since the new highway was built. We get so lonely. The younger boy nodded enthusiastically. Will you play with us, Officer Crane? Please, it's been so long since we had someone to play with. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to get in my vehicle and drive, but I couldn't take my eyes off them. Couldn't look away from those two large eyes and wrong shadows. I can't play right now. I have to get back to work. But maybe... Liar. The first boy's voice turned sharp. You're going to leave, just like everyone else leaves. Just like our families left. The girl took a step closer. They left us here, you know, after the accident. In 1952, the car went off the road. She pointed to my right, deeper into the forest. Right there, through the guardrail, down into the canyon. There were 7 of us, the younger boy added. 7 children in the car. The adults lived. They climbed out, but we were stuck. We couldn't get out, and they left us. They said they'd go get help, but they never came back. The first boy's face twisted into something that might have been a smile, but looked more like a grimace. We waited for days. We waited and waited, and then we stopped waiting.
And then we stopped being what we were. And then we became what we are. I was backing toward my vehicle now, weapon still raised. I'm sorry that happened to you. That's terrible, but I need to leave now. Everyone leaves, the girl hissed. Everyone always leaves, but we make sure they remember us. We make sure they know we're still here. She held up something, and my heart nearly stopped. It was the Frisbee, the one Emma and Josh had been playing with. When did you... While you were fixing their car, the younger boy said cheerfully. We took it from their car. We take something from everyone who stops. A remembrance, so we're not forgotten. I reached for my radio with my free hand. Dispatch, this is Unit 684. I need backup at... The radio crackled with that same child's laughter, distorted and multiplied. Then a voice that might have been dispatch but wasn't. No one's coming, Officer Crane. No one ever comes. Not for us. Not for 70 years. The 3 children started moving toward me, slowly, in perfect sync. Their shadows stretched and writhed like living things. I made a split-second decision. I holstered my weapon. It wasn't going to do any good against whatever these things were, and ran for my vehicle. I threw the door open, jumped inside, and hit the locks. All 3 children were suddenly at my windows. Not walking there, just suddenly there, pressing their pale faces against the glass, their 2 large eyes staring at me. Play with us, they said in unison. Stay with us. Be with us. Don't leave us alone again. I started the engine and threw it in drive, but the vehicle wouldn't move. It was like something was holding it in place. I floored the accelerator and the engine roared, but the Crown Vic stayed locked in position. The children's faces pressed harder against the windows. Their breath fogged the glass, even though it was 87 degrees outside. You were kind to the family, so we'll be kind to you. We'll give you a choice. Play with us forever, or drive away and forget you ever saw us. But if you leave, you have to promise something. What? I managed to croak out. Tell people about us, the girl said. Tell them we're here. Tell them we're waiting. Tell them not to forget the 7 children who died in the canyon in 1952. Tell them we're still here. And if I don't? The younger boy smiled, and I saw that his teeth were all wrong. Too many of them, too sharp. Then we'll visit you, Officer Crane. Every night, in your dreams, in your mirrors, in every child's face you see. We'll remind you that you could have helped us, but you chose to forget. And forgetting is what killed us the first time. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Okay, I'll tell people. I promise. I'll tell everyone about the 7 children. The pressure on my vehicle suddenly released. The children stepped back from the windows, their forms becoming less solid, more translucent. Drive safe, Officer Crane, and thank you for being kind. Kindness is rare. We remember kindness. We remember you. And then they were gone. Not walking away, not fading gradually, just gone, like they'd never been there. I sat in my patrol vehicle for a full minute, breathing hard before I could make myself put it in drive. I pulled back onto Route 60 and drove north, constantly checking my mirrors, expecting to see pale faces staring at me. Nothing. Just the beautiful Arizona forest and the empty highway. When I finally got cell service, I called dispatch. My voice was still shaking. Unit 684, what's the history on Route 60 near mile marker 267? Any accidents from the 1950s? The dispatcher came back 5 minutes later. Actually, yes. We have a record of a fatal accident in July 1952. A family vehicle went through the guardrail and rolled into the canyon. 7 children died. Says here the adults survived and went for help, but by the time rescue arrived, all 7 children had succumbed to their injuries. Pretty tragic. Why do you ask? I didn't answer directly. Can you make a note in the records? I think that area needs a memorial marker. Those children shouldn't be forgotten. Sure thing, 684. I'll pass it along. I drove straight to Show Low and found the cabin rental office. The Patterson family was there, checking in. When they saw me pull up, they came outside, confused but friendly.
Officer Crane, is everything okay? I held up the phone. One of you dropped this. Linda gasped. Oh my God, that's mine! I've been looking everywhere. Thank you so much. I handed it to her, watching her face carefully. Mrs. Patterson, can I ask you something? Did you take any photos while you were stopped on the highway? She scrolled through her phone, then looked up, puzzled. No, the last photo I took was back at the Salt River Canyon Overlook. Why? The photo of me was gone. I'd seen it with my own eyes, but now it was gone. No reason, I said weakly. Just making sure everything's there. Emma ran up with her brother. Officer Crane, did you find our Frisbee too? We lost it somewhere, and Mom says we can't get a new one until we're more responsible. My mouth dried. No, honey, I didn't find a Frisbee. I'm sorry. Her face fell, but she nodded. That's okay. Thanks for bringing back Mom's phone. I watched them go back inside, a happy family starting their vacation, completely unaware of what was in those woods, what was still in those woods, waiting. That night, I did research, found newspaper articles from July 1952 about the accident, 7 children from 2 families, ages 4 to 12, killed when their vehicle lost control on Route 60 and plunged into a canyon. The adults, 4 parents, survived with minor injuries. They'd hiked out to get help, but by the time rescue crews arrived, all 7 children were dead. The article said the parents were devastated, that they never forgave themselves. 3 of the 4 adults died within 10 years of the accident. The 4th lived until 1989, but according to her obituary, never spoke of that day again. I kept my promise. I told people. I wrote reports, made requests, pushed for a memorial. Eventually, the state approved a small roadside marker near mile marker 267. It reads, "In memory of 7 children lost, July 1952, forever young, never forgotten." I was there when they installed it, stood in the same spot where I had encountered those things, those children who weren't children anymore. As the sun was setting, I thought I saw movement in the trees, small shapes, watching. But when I looked directly at them, there was nothing there. That was 2 years ago. I still patrol Route 60, still pass that memorial marker several times a week. Sometimes I'll see fresh flowers there, though I never see anyone leave them. Sometimes in my headlights at dusk, I'll catch glimpses of small figures playing in the forest. But they haven't bothered me again. I kept my promise. I made sure they weren't forgotten. And the Patterson family? I checked on them through social media. They had a great vacation, posted photos of their cabin, of hiking trails, of the kids swimming in a creek. Normal, happy family memories. Emma's Frisbee appeared in some of the later photos. When I saw that, I felt cold all over. They'd found it, or it had found them. A gift from children who just wanted to be remembered, who just wanted someone to acknowledge that they existed, that they suffered, and that they're still here in some form. I still love my job. I still help families on the side of the road, still give escorts to speeding grandmas rushing to see new babies, still accept homemade cheese wheels from grateful tourists. But I'm more careful now, more aware that not everything on Arizona's highways is what it seems, that some rest stops aren't really rest stops, some children aren't really children, and some promises, once made, can never be broken. The Patterson family sends me Christmas cards now, too. Last year's had a family photo in front of a Christmas tree. Everyone smiling, everyone happy. Emma was holding a Frisbee, a blue Frisbee, faded and worn, like it had been sitting in the forest for 70 years. And if you look very carefully at the reflection in the window behind them, you can see faces, small faces, 7 of them, watching, smiling, remembering. I keep that card in my locker at the station, a reminder that kindness matters, even when you're dealing with things that shouldn't exist. A reminder that promises have power, especially promises made to the dead. And a reminder that on Arizona's beautiful highways, under sunny skies and through gorgeous forests, sometimes the most important part of our job isn't writing tickets or making arrests. Sometimes it's just remembering, telling stories, making sure that the lost aren't forgotten, even when the lost stopped being human a long time ago, even when remembering keeps you up at night. I still drive Route 60. I still stop to help families. I still love this job. But I never stop at mile marker 267 anymore. Not at dusk. Not when the shadows grow long. Not when I might hear laughter in the trees. Because I kept my promise. I told their story. I made sure they were remembered. And now in some small way, they're part of my story too. Forever.